Now, a lot of YouTube channels talk about incorrect things when it comes to the English language, and I mentioned in my previous videos, this is part 3 of a 3-part series. Watch the other 2 if you can before you watch this one, because it'll make a lot more sense. I talked about in those other 3 videos how something can be a mistake, or maybe isn't a mistake, maybe is an error, is something incorrect or not. But in this video, I want to talk about when something is actually not incorrect, but maybe somebody will say that it is incorrect. Now, we are going to be talking about English in this, but this has more to do, I believe, with integrity than it does with anything else. Hi, my name's Dave. Welcome to Dave's English. If you're ever interested in taking lessons with me, just go to my website, davesenglish.com, or justsayitenglish.com. And on the front page, you will see English lessons. Just click on that button and you can sign up for lessons with me today. So I'd really like to be able to help you out with your English language journey. Now, in the last 2 videos, I talked about what something being incorrect is, and I'm going to use the same example again. So if you've seen the other 2 videos, I'm sorry, but I'm going to use the same example. So the idea as to whether something is incorrect or not, I believe, is the thought that there is an overwhelming consensus as to something being correct or incorrect. So, for example, if I take this cup and I say this is an automobile, 100 out of 100 people would say, Dave, you are wrong. That is not an automobile. That is a cup or a mug or a coffee cup or a coffee mug. And those would be all correct definitions for what this is. It is not an automobile. Me saying it is an automobile is a mistake, and an overwhelming majority of people believe that this is a mistake. Now, on the other hand, if I say the color here is green, well, the consensus might not necessarily agree. They might say it looks a little bit more yellow. Yes, it looks a little bit green. And if it is green, what shade of green is it or what not, right? So to say that this is green or yellow, then, it can be really different because we do have yellow here. We do have green here. We do have other colors here. So in that case, the consensus will not be there. Whereas saying this is an automobile, 100% of people say, Dave, that is not an automobile, that is a cup. In my first video, I mentioned this with modal verbs, how a lot of people think that modal verbs are a set thing, but in reality, it's a very debated topic with a lot of nuanced thoughts. So, in the previous video about mistakes and errors, I talk about when something has a consensus that it is incorrect. But what about when that consensus isn't there? How do we handle those situations? Let me go ahead and show you a recent video that will bring this to light. So let me play this video.
This is also not correct.
And what is this part of the car called? This is called a side mirror, and a side mirror is necessary if you are looking to your left or right to see if a car is in your lane, because if you want to turn to the left side, you use this side mirror to see if...
The word is not pronounced mirror, mirror. I have to pronounce it with 2 syllables. Mirror, mirror. So don't pronounce it with 1 syllable, mirror, like beer and fear. Pronounce it with 2 syllables. Mirror, mirror.
Now, Kevin in this video says that she mispronounces the word mirror and says that it shouldn't be mirror. That is incorrect. Now, is the consensus there that this is the way to pronounce it? Well, let me go ahead and give you some of the evidence that I have, video evidence of people actually pronouncing it like Ariana pronounces it in her video. Here we go.
This graph almost looks like the mirror image of that one, and this is...
to more closely mirror the diversity that they bring to the table.
Actually, the person who's going to give us the most trouble often is the person we're looking at in the mirror.
Well, you just hold up the mirror and allow people to look at themselves.
Maybe even if we just look in the mirror, there might be ways we think...
And I also would submit that sometimes our thinking has been in the rearview mirror.
I'm driving down the road and I look in my mirror and there's a car right on my bumper.
And what I realized is sort of looking through the rearview mirror, see the ways that food is a really powerful mirror for who we are on a much deeper level.
A really true good friend will mirror and match that excitement with you.
But it's not necessarily doing anything, but then it turns out the mirror is pointing where they actually
we ourselves are the truest mirror of ourselves. If we actually are fair and we actually look.
Another project that's going to be coming out soon is there's this show Black Mirror.
One of my favorites.
Yes, so good.
I love Black Mirror.
So good.
And you can put a mirror right in here and make a fold, and so it'll fold onto itself.
So look in the mirror, start the conversation. Those are things that we all can do.
And the applause, and I sit at my dressing room station and I look in the mirror.
Create a world order that's really a mirror image of ourselves.
Your organization is a direct mirror of its leadership team.
Such as looking at themselves in the mirror and noticing a mark on their nose.
But Facebook's response that it is just a mirror to society.
When I was a few years old, I was playing in front of a mirror in an old apartment.
So the best way to do it is to get like a dry erase marker, stand in front of a mirror, tie your hair completely back.
Being able to look in the mirror with self-respect instead of seeing a reflection of someone we are pretending to be.
And most important to all of this, take a look in the mirror. How are you interacting in relationship?
The final fidelity of our roadmap should mirror what we want to achieve and who will see it.
A human body is comprised of 50 trillion cells. When we look at ourselves in the mirror and say there's a single entity, no, that's an illusion.
Okay, so now we're gonna build the mirror.
Hooray!
So if you wanna put...
Maybe like take off all your clothes, look in the mirror and say, that's what it is. That's my life. That's the direction I've taken myself.
For what I call windows and mirrors. When you read something and you find a mirror in it, it's this feeling of being seen, of seeing some part of yourself reflected back to you.
Now, I saw over 22,000 uses of mirror on Youglish, and I just went through the first 80 or 90 and found all of those examples. So I would say that definitely the consensus is not there, that you have people saying both mirror and mirror. Now, for the record, I actually do say it more with that second syllable. I say mirror a little bit softer than mirror, okay? And in the case of mirror, saying it really strong with that second syllable, that's more British English than it is American English. So it's kind of funny that those who teach real-life American English are actually speaking more about the British pronunciation for mirror. That's kind of weird, okay? But in this case, there is more than enough evidence to show that it is completely acceptable to use the pronunciation of mirror for mirror. Now, the last video that I showed you in that collection of video clips isn't just from any average person like all the other ones that there were. No, that last clip is actually from a Harvard professor of English doing a video about why you should teach English on Harvard Graduate School of Education's YouTube page. And she says mirror. Okay, if anyone's going to know how to use the English language, I think it's an English language professor from Harvard who's actually doing a video about why you should teach English. Okay? Go ahead and debate her, Kevin, about the pronunciation of that word. So as we can see here, it's not incorrect because there's not really a consensus as to whether the person said it incorrectly or not. There's no consensus. We have tons of video clips of people actually saying it the way that Ariana says it in her video. But here's the thing, and this is where the problem really comes full steam ahead, which is that Kevin, when doing the research for his video, I'm sure, came across these examples as well. Why did he just skip over all of these examples that show the exact same pronunciation that Ariana had, but yet just pick the ones that agreed with what he was trying to argue? Well, that comes to the first part. And the first big problem that we have with this video is that he's purely going through confirmation bias. Now, confirmation bias is just getting information and data that supports your fact and totally neglecting or rejecting anything else to the contrary. And that's what we have here. Kevin wanted to say that Ariana was wrong, and he only presented information and video clips or whatever that actually backed only his argument, when you know that he was presented with all these other video clips that I went ahead and showed you. Now, if he used Youglish, these would have probably been the first ones that he actually saw. But the fact that he is only using video clips or data or whatever that support his specific idea, that then shows that he is only worried about being right, not presenting the right information. This is absolutely confirmation bias, and he's trying to tell you that she was wrong, though if we look at all of the data out there, we can see there are tons of video clips where people say the word mirror just like Ariana does. By having this confirmation bias and only giving you information that proves that he is right and she is wrong, I would chalk that up as being academically dishonest. Now, granted, he does not work in academia. I have worked in academia before, actually. I was working on a PhD. I have academic publications as well. So I have actually worked in academia and have scholarly articles published. But he's not in academia, but he is in the world of teaching. So I will put all of this under the umbrella of academic teaching. He's being academically dishonest because you know when he made this video, he was presented with the same videos that I saw of people actually pronouncing mirror as Ariana did, but decided not to put it into his video. That is dishonesty. That is trying to push a narrative that says, hey, I'm Kevin. I'm 100% correct. She's 100% wrong. And here is my selected information regarding why I'm right. That is dishonest. And I am totally fine critiquing people. I'm totally fine critiquing people to a point of being very, very stern, very, very strong, even use the language that I do every now and then, okay? But in this situation, you're being dishonest. I would never, when presented with information, go ahead and then say this person is wrong when there's a lot of information showing that they're not wrong. And Kevin, this is what you did. What you did in this video was absolutely 100% dishonest because you did not present the viewer or the student, which remember, you should be in this for helping the student. And as I tell people, I'm not on Team Lingua Marina. I'm not on Team Kevin. I'm on Team Student. And when you tell the student that this is the only way to say it, though the consensus is not there, and there are tons of video clips that I know you saw that show that there is a different way to pronounce it, which is the way Ariana pronounces it, you are being dishonest to your students. You are not telling them the truth. You are trying to push this narrative of you are right and everyone else is wrong. I don't know if you call this at this point superiority complex or inferiority complex. Does he feel like he's inferior and therefore he has to do this? Or does he feel like he's superior and he knows all? I don't know. But this is dishonesty. Whether, my opinion, whatever, doesn't count. This is pure dishonesty. He did not give you, he did you an injustice. I don't care. I know the language. I don't care as far as my personal knowledge, but he's doing you a disservice by nitpicking. And this is the part with the nitpicking. He nitpicks all these little things and finds little problems in them or little differences. They aren't even problems where somebody looks at it and goes, that's not really an error. And in many cases, it's not, but he has, and Lisa has this black and white view of a very technicolor language saying this is the right way, this is the wrong way. And what he did in this video, and what he did, to be quite honest, to Ariana was dishonest. Now, I mentioned that he had actually looked at 19 other things that were pure mistakes. And they were mistakes. In this situation, I said it was iffy, but now I'm saying it's not a mistake because I did the research myself. I was like, well, let me do the research and see how many people actually do say mirror. I didn't know. I didn't proclaim to know. As I did more research, as I looked at more things, I realized, a lot more people actually say it than he gives people credit for. And then this comes to another point, which is a point of irony, maybe. If he's saying that this is an error, and yet there's enough video evidence out there showing that there are different beliefs as far as whether this is an error or not, as we have many people saying the word mirror, where did he get the information that said this was an error? Does he say it's an error because the dictionary says that you should have 2 syllables? Now, as you know, bring this whole entire series full circle, Kevin was just all about how the dictionaries are wrong, being so, pumping his chest up about it. He even did a video with a thumbnail or like, we are not wrong. And here's Rachel for some reason. Are you now using the dictionary to prove that this is correct? Because you can't use the video evidence. Well, I guess you could if you decide you're only going to show a little bit. And this is the problem I have with Kevin and Lisa versus others. I do think others just don't know what they're doing, and at some point they're trying to do their best. It can be detrimental, but they're trying to do their best. There's a point where I think Kevin and Lisa are doing this to try to be right, and will go through dishonest methods in order to do so, like in this video. Well, that's all I want to talk about today. I hope you enjoyed the series. Have a wonderful day wherever it is you are, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.